Well, it's good to be in the Lord's house this morning. Good to see everybody out. And I know we're tired, and it's hot outside, and it was cold in here, and then I done messed with that air conditioner over there, and now it's hot in here, so I apologize for that. This thing, I'm telling you, move it 1 degree, and it jumps 10. I don't know what the problem with it is. But anyways, we'll make it through best we can this morning. If you got your Bibles, find your way to 2 Kings chapter number 20 this morning. 2 Kings chapter number 20. As we have been in 2 Chronicles 32 for some time now, dealing with Hezekiah and everything that's going on there in the kingdom of Judah. And we're still kind of in that same boat. But we're going to look at 2 Kings 20 and the account there. As you know, the book of Chronicles and the book of Kings, they are parallel texts. They just have different details of the same reigns. And I know a lot of times that can get confusing. But if you're interested, 2 Chronicles 32, you'll find the same account, as well as in the book of Isaiah, as Isaiah is the prophet in the land at this given time. Isaiah 36 through 39, you'll find the same things going on there as well, if you'd like to look at that. But I noticed some things as I was digging through the text and trying to put a bow on the life of Hezekiah here and finish up with him so that we could move on in our study, as this is going to be about the fifth or sixth time that we've looked at Hezekiah, and Lord willing, it'll be the last time, at least in this study. And we'll put a bow on him and be done with him for a little while. But studying on this, there was a certain verse that really jumped out in my mind, and it really stuck with me. And it's really kind of convicted me a little bit over the last day or two, looking at it here, and it's burdened my heart to do better and to work a little bit harder at some things. Up to this point, we've looked at this man Hezekiah, and he's done some great things, right? We've looked at all that he's done in the kingdom of Judah. We've looked at him working on the house of God, opening it back up. We looked at him cleaning things up, leading national revivals. We look at him leading folks into worship and leading folks into revival, and then leading them through the invasion of Sennacherib, the king of Assyria there. We've looked at all that he's got going on and how good he has done. And then in these days, Hezekiah is about to run into some trouble. He's about to run into some trials here. Hey, see, Hezekiah's had a lot of great faith, and the people of Judah and Jerusalem have been able to look at his great faith, and because of his example, they've been able to fall in line with him, and he's led them through his faith to grow their faith, and now Hezekiah's faith is going to be tested on a more personal note. Excuse me there. Chapter number 20, in verse number 1, in those days was Hezekiah sick unto death. And the prophet Isaiah, the son of Amoz, came to him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, Set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then he turned his face to the wall and prayed unto the Lord, saying, I beseech thee, O Lord, remember now how I have walked before thee in truth, and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. And it came to pass, afore Isaiah was gone out into the middle court, he's not even made it out of the palace there. He's not even made it out of the king's house. Before he's made it into the middle court there, that the word of the Lord came to him, saying, Turn again and tell Hezekiah, the captain of my people, Thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father, I've heard thy prayer, I've seen thy tears. Behold, I will heal thee on the third day. Thou shalt go up into the house of the Lord, and I will add unto thy days 15 years. And I will deliver thee in this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I'll defend this city for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. So we've seen the great victories of Hezekiah in the previous chapters. We've seen all the wonderful things that he's done there. And then we're going to see a great recovery here in these verses that I've read. He's sick unto death. He's got a great boil. He's got a great injury there, a great ailment there that he's dealing with. And we know that he's rolled over and he's prayed unto the Lord and said, Lord, remember everything that I've done. Remember how that I've served. Remember how that I've led the nation back unto you. Remember how that I stuck my neck out, Lord, and I got rid of all the false gods. Told everybody to trust on you. Remember how they were ready to quit when they saw the king of Assyria come. And instead I encouraged them to get stick with you and go with you. Look at all that I've done. Don't let me go this way. And the Lord has heard that prayer, and He sends Isaiah back in and says, all right, Hezekiah, I've heard the prayer. I've heard everything that you said, and you're right. I'm going to give you another 15 years. And I'm not going to read it for sake of time this morning. I want to get somewhere here in just a moment. But you'll find Hezekiah wants to see a sign. He wants to see a sign that the Lord is truly going to heal him. And the Lord, or Isaiah, is talking to him there. He's like, what kind of sign do you want? Do you want the degrees, the sundial there's the time instrument they're using? Do you want the degrees to go up or to go down? He said, well, it's nothing for it to move the normal way, to go up, to move the normal way. So instead, let it go back 10 degrees. And God said, all right. So to prove to Hezekiah that He was going to heal him, God moved time backwards. He took the sun in the sky and moved it backwards in its arc to prove to Hezekiah that He was going to come and He was going to heal him. I don't care who you are, that's a great recovery. Somebody that's on the verge of death. Somebody that is not going to make it any longer, and the Lord has stepped in, put His hand on him, showed him a great sign for everybody to see, healed him up, and didn't just give him another month or two, gave him another 15 years. That's a lot of life to be added unto. He's had great victories. He's had great recovery. He's had a great recovery. And then you'll find that he's got great possessions as well. Hezekiah is very prosperous. He's got a lot going for him here. He's got a lot of possessions. He's got a lot of things that he's been able to pile up over the years and things that have been given unto him that he's worked with. You'll find that there's going to be an envoy or an envoy, however you say that word. There's going to be some visitors. How about that? We can all get behind that word. There's going to be some visitors from Babylon. They realize that Hezekiah is sick. They send him a gift. They give him the get well soon card and decide they want to come and visit. So they come in and visit, and Hezekiah is going to take them around and show them everything that he's got. You'll find there in verse number 13. Verse number 13, and Hezekiah hearkened unto them and showed them, pay attention here, all the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor and all that was found in his treasures. Therefore, there was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. Now you'll find, reading those parallel accounts that I gave you, that when the Lord sent these folks from Babylon there, this was a test for Hezekiah. This was a test for Hezekiah to prove Hezekiah. Now I had a Bible teacher when I was in school. She used to ask us all the time, why did God do this? And if you answered the question to see what they would do, she said, nope, God already knew what they were going to do. The test wasn't for God to see what they're going to do. The test was for them to see what they were going to do. Just like in the book of Genesis there, when God is walking through the midst of the Garden of Eden and He calls out unto Adam. He didn't need to know where Adam was. He wanted Adam to know where Adam was. He wanted him to realize the state of his heart. There's a test that's been given here unto Hezekiah when these kings or when these visitors from Babylon have come in to visit with him. God is trying to prove some things to Hezekiah here in the text. What He's trying to prove is Hezekiah has gone through his great victories and his great recovery and all the wonderful things in his life, and now Hezekiah's head is so big it won't fit through the doors. He's done got swelled up in pride. He's got to where he's a big his guy. That's why I tried to emphasize when I was reading there in the text. Everything that He's showing them is His precious things, His armor, His treasures, His house, His dominion. Who gave him all that? God. God gave it all to him. God built it up. God got him through the attack of the Syrian army. God got him through all of that. God allowed that to work out. God provided each and everything. And now Hezekiah is gone, and he has shown all of these folks from Babylon everything that he claims as his own. He even said it's his dominion. It's not his dominion. It's God's. God's people, God's house, God's kingdom, God's chosen people there. It was all God's, but he is looking at it, and he has got pride into his heart here and thinks that it has all become his, and he's carrying them around on the grand tour, and he is bragging and showing them everything that they have got going on. And you'll find that he has failed this test. Verse 14. And then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, What said these men, and from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country, even from Babylon. And he said, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All the things that are in mine house have they seen. There's nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. And Isaiah said unto Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store unto this day, shall be carried into Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Verse number 19 is where I'd like to pull the sermon from this morning. Then said Hezekiah unto Isaiah, Good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. And he said, Is it not good if peace and truth be in my days? That really stuck out to me. The verse right before that, verse 18, Isaiah has just told Hezekiah that his lineage, the sons and the grandsons that are going to come through his family, are going to be taken away captive into Babylon, turned into eunuchs, and have to serve a foreign king. And Hezekiah looked at them and said, Well, at least things are good while I'm here. That's what he said. He said, Is it not good if peace and truth be in my days? I like to preach this morning. I got 6 short things I was going to share my heart with you this morning. Just good for me isn't good enough. See, we could all have the same attitude of Hezekiah here. We could look around and we say, hey, as long as finances are good, as long as the house is not falling apart, as long as the church is good, as long as everything is took care of while I'm here, that's really all I'm worried about. But ain't that a selfish outlook on life? Isn't that a pitiful way to be when all we care about is what we can see right here? I've used this before, and I really like it. I really do. At the Wonders of Wildlife Museum there in Springfield, Missouri, the Bass Pro thing that they've got set up now. You walk down that hallway, and up on the wall to the right, there's an old Indian proverb that says, We do not inherit the earth from our fathers, we borrow it from our children. And I'd like to use that little proverb there and move it over to the Word of God and move it over to the church a little bit and say, we don't inherit the church from our fathers, we borrow it from our children. See, we can have the same attitude of Hezekiah, and we can do the bare minimum to keep it how we like it right now, and then we can let them deal with the fallout later on. Or we can do what the Bible instructs us to do. We can teach them diligently, like it says in Deuteronomy 6, verses 6 and 7. We can teach them diligently. We can work, we can labor, and we can fight some battles today so that they don't have to fight them tomorrow. I'm more of the opinion of fighting the battles today so that my children don't have to fight the battles. There's an attitude at MDOT, and Les will get a taste of this before long, I'm sure. The big attitude at MDOT is we have a 30-year career. You're probably going to work on the road once or twice in your career, and everybody wants to just kick the can down the road, not fix it how it's supposed to be because it costs too much and it's too hard. Kick the can down the road and let somebody else deal with it later. Don't y'all love that attitude? I hate it. It drives me nuts. It might be why I'm not that popular, because I call them out on it too much. Maybe I should learn to keep my mouth shut on some things. I don't like the fact that we'll go, for instance, we are working up plans, and I can't be very specific, okay? I hope y'all understand that. I can't be very specific on this. We're working up plans right now because we have some money left in the budget that if we don't use the money in this budget, then we're going to lose it, and the road is not going to be worked on. It's a road that does not even need any work. It's a road that rides just fine, but that's the one that they want to put the money on because they don't have enough money to do another road over here that needs it. One road in particular has got railroad tracks across it that are cut off about 5 foot outside the road. They are dead railroad tracks. There are buildings in the way. There are trees in the way. There's no train ever coming through there again. And when I asked if we needed to work up an estimate on removing these railroad tracks so that we could fix the road right through this little town, I was told no, there is no money to fix the railroad tracks. We'll pave over it and let somebody else deal with it. Why? Why? Because you know what's going to happen. Somebody's going to come through there with their milling machine and mill that asphalt up, and the teeth are going to hit that solid metal track, and they're going to tear their $1 million milling machine up, and who are they going to be mad at? They ain't going to be me. Because I'm not taking the blame for that one. Sometimes we can decide if we want to take the easy way out and we want to just coast on through this thing called life, or if we want to put our feet to the road and we want to get on the front lines and we want to work a little bit and we want to try to leave this place better than we ever got it. I was taught when I was growing up, whenever you go somewhere, leave it in better shape than it was when you got there. When I go on a trip and I stay in an Airbnb, it's going to be cleaner and nicer when we leave than when I got there. When I come to the church house, I want it to be cleaner and nicer after I've been there than before I got there. When I went to Locust Grove as the associate and the youth pastor there, I wanted those kids to be better after I left than when I got there. I had a desire to fight some battles, to get on the line and to fight a little bit, to try to help things be a little bit better. Now, we could always take the easy way out. But I don't believe there's any glory in that. I don't believe there's any reason to sit there and just take the easy way out when God has called us to go and to serve and to try to make this thing better. I've told you the story before of my baseball coach. He used to tell everybody we had to set up the field for practice. We had to get the balls. We had to get the bats. We had to take the L screen out there. And we had this big old wooden platform that he got on and he threw to make it look like a mound. It seemed like it weighed 900 pounds. Everybody fought to get something else so that you didn't have to move the platform. But everybody had to clean it up. And one year, Coach Anthony kept saying, somebody go get the balls. Somebody go get the bats. And nobody went. So he had T-shirts made for all of them to wear in practice. And they said number 16, somebody on the back was the name. So anytime he said somebody go and get it, everybody's jersey said they were somebody. So everybody had to get a part and everybody had to get going on it. He wasn't going to let anybody just coast around, and I really respected him for that. He wouldn't let you take the easy way out. Hezekiah here, when he is saying this, he's looking at Isaiah and he's like, well, I hate it for whoever comes next, but at least I've got it good. At least I've got it good right now, and I don't necessarily like that attitude. I don't want to leave the place in a mess. I don't want to leave God's house in a mess, because look around, one of these days, we ain't going to be here. We're not going to be here. Whether the Lord comes back and gets us or we go by the grave, we're not going to be here. There's going to be somebody else sitting on your spot on that pew. There's going to be another family in the doors. You think that, Brother Easton? I said, well, yeah. Church has been going for nearly 180 years. Anybody here when it was founded? Nope. This building wasn't here when it was founded. This is about the third building, if I know right. Seems like there used to be one across the road. There's an old one right here next to us, and then we got this one. It's at least the third iteration here. Might be more than that. 5. Number 5. Miss Judy was there for 4 of them. I love you, Miss Judy. I really do. I really do. The church just keeps on going. It keeps on working. Why? Because somebody in the past cared enough about the future of Beulah Baptist Church to fight some hard battles and do some hard work. One of these days, one of them days back then, when they decided to vote to build the building that we're standing in right now, there was probably somebody that said, how in the world are we ever going to pay for it? Is it worth stretching it? Is it worth fighting it? Is it worth the financial burden on the church to build what we're standing in today? I sure am glad that they went through it. I sure am glad that they cared enough to work and to provide something for us to sit here and have today. I don't know how old this pulpit is, but somebody paid for it. And there's been many great men of God, better than I'll ever be, that have stood behind this sacred desk and have preached the Word of God because they cared enough about the future of the church to not take the easy way out. There's a lot of parents that have sat here and have come and have cried and prayed over their children because they wanted the church to have something going forward. They didn't look like Hezekiah and say, well, as long as it's okay while I'm here, I don't care about anybody else. They had a desire to leave it better. They didn't want to say it's just good enough for me. Just good enough for me is not good enough in my eyes. I want it to be better. I want to leave it good for the next ones that come. You'll see he had great victory, he had great recovery, he had great possessions. But then I want to make my living here this morning. He had a great failure. His great failure was the fact that right here at the end of this thing, it's like Hezekiah just said, well, I've done all I can do. I've led us to revival. I've redone the Lord's house. I've led us through these battles. I have all these great possessions. I've done all that I set out to do. I'm just going to wipe my hands of it and I'm just going to be done. And I'll let the rest of them boys figure it out. I wonder how the rest of them boys felt about that. We've got a farm there at the house. Triple H Farm's been going a long time, 40, 50 years now. But for the longest time, Papa and his generation, they got too old to go out there and stretch the barbed wire and to drive the fence post. I don't blame them. I'm going to be 31 in June. I think I'm too old to drive them fence posts. I'll just be honest with you. It ain't no fun. Now, ain't no fun to do it. But anyways, they got to the point where they couldn't keep up with it no more. So what did they do? They stepped back. And the fences began to fall. And the old silo began to fall. The barn fell. The hay barn, that snow that we got 10 years ago, knocked the roof down on the hay barn. The old feed chute where they used to pump silage into the silo and then it would auger it out and it would feed the cows. They were running hundreds and hundreds of calves through there every year. It's all laying there in a state of disarray and falling in. Why? Because the men got to the point where they couldn't do it anymore. Now, they didn't do it out of laziness. I'm not trying to talk bad about them. They've done so much, and I would never do that. But it got to the point to where they needed some more men to get a hold of it and get their hands in it. And nobody did until now. Now what are we doing? We're going back and we're driving fence posts and we're pulling wire and we're trying to fix the barn and we're doing all kind of things because we didn't want it to end. We didn't want it to be gone. We didn't want to be the last generation that had it. Sue goes by this place all the time. If you go up Highway 6 and you take the exit to go to Tupelo, the Main Street exit, y'all know what I'm talking about? Going up there by that big hospice center right before you come into town down there, right before you get to what used to be Steele's Dive and all that. You know, right there on the right, there's that place. It's got 120 bales of hay in the front. It's got the white fence that goes 100 miles off the road, it looks like. You know where I'm talking about? Sue drives by it all the time, says, I wonder what that used to be. She finally looked it up on Google Earth the other day, and guess what it is? It's an old farm. The old silos are sitting there empty. The barns are falling in. Everything is not working anymore because somebody wasn't doing it anymore. I don't want the church to be that way. I don't want to look up one day in the next generation, not have anything left for them. I don't want to be like Hezekiah and be a great failure because I've failed to preserve the church and to get it to another generation. He's a great failure. 6 things quickly this morning. You'll find in this, when he had this attitude that he was going to take his hands off of it, let it be good in his days, and then just let it fall apart after him. By the way, it does for a little while. It does for a little while. You'll find that there's going to be riches will be gone. All this superficial stuff that he piled up for himself, all of his armor, all of his riches, all of his possessions, everything that he had is going to be gone. Matthew 6:19 says this, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where the thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. All the years of piling up possessions, all the skills meaningful to his life, ended up not mattering at all. Can you imagine that? All of his reign, he has piled up those possessions. He's piled up the money and he's worked and he's labored and he had all the stuff and he probably had in his mind, one of these days I'll leave it for them boys. Them boys don't ever get it. It's taken away into Babylon. I wonder if the only thing that we have left behind for our children is just earthly possessions. Now, we ought to do that. That is right. That is biblical to believe something for your children, by the way. But that shouldn't be the most important thing. I don't care if you leave them $1 million. If they have no idea who the Lord is, it'll all be in vain. I don't care if we turn into the Beulah Baptist Bank and we leave $10 million in the account for the next ones. They could buy up half the county and build the biggest church in the world. If they have no biblical, godly heritage left in this place and we're gone, that's right, it'll all be in vain. Amen. Every bit of it. I would rather be broke serving God than rich and have nothing. Right. The riches are going to be gone. They've lost their riches. Babylon is going to take their riches. By the way, this is foreshadowing what's going to happen when Babylon comes and takes away Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. That's the same thing that is being foreshadowed here in the text. The Babylonian captivity, it does happen. The riches are gone. You'll find their royalty is going to be gone as well. These folks here, they had it all. They had the right to the throne. They had the right to be in the leadership of the country. They should have been looked at as a family that had a great godly heritage. They should have been looked at with a great level of respect. They had a great chance for success. They were set up, had everything they wanted and could need until they didn't no more. Because somebody just decided, all right, well, as long as it's okay in my generation, I'm not worried about the next. If there's anything that I want my kids to know about me when I'm not here anymore, it's that I love the Lord. I don't care what else they know. They better know that I love the Lord and I love them. If I can do that, I'll be okay. I'll be okay. That's what's important to me. Now, if I get past that, I've got a wish list that I'd love to leave them outside of that. But those are at the top. Those are what's so important. Because I know that's what matters the most. Their chance to be a great success story is gone. You'll find not only the riches are gone and the royalty's gone, you'll find that religion as they know it is gone. After all the work that Hezekiah has put in, after what he's led the country back from, all that he's done and all that he's worked on, after all the heartache and the sacrifice and the fights that have been fought, you think he had to fight? I sure do. You remember what his daddy Ahaz was doing and how wicked he was? I'm not going into that. We've beat that mule until it's not ready to ride no more. I ain't going back there. He did some wicked, nasty things. But all that kingdom was going through, Hezekiah comes in. You don't see anywhere in the text that the people were mad about what Ahaz was doing. You don't see anywhere in the text where they've gone and told Ahaz, quit doing that. You see nowhere in the text where the people said, don't stop, do that. No, don't do it no more. They don't see nothing. You don't even hear them going, like we do to our kids. I probably did that. Nate's probably flinching in the nursery right now when he heard that on the TV. He'll go to touch up, Nobody even tried to them or anything. They just let them go. Well, it's okay. If the people are okay with it, what do you think they did to Hezekiah when he came in and said, we ain't doing it no more. We ain't doing it no more. What do you think they did when Hezekiah went to their favorite false idol and kicked it down and threw it in the brook Kidron and got rid of it? Do you think they were one of his fans or not? I'm going to say they didn't like him. What do you think he did when he went to that altar of incense that they shouldn't have and he got rid of it and he threw it in the brook Kidron, never to be seen again, and said, if you want to go worship before an altar, the altar of God is up there at the temple. You think they liked that? I'm sure they didn't. If they was anything like Baptist folks today, they didn't even like the fact that he moved the chairs around. Y'all okay this morning? I'm picking, I understand that. They didn't like it. They didn't care for it at all. But what did Hezekiah do? He fought through it. He did what the Lord told him to do. You remember what the Bible said? It said it was in his heart to prepare the house of God. He had it in his heart. He meant something to him. He said, I'm going to fight it out. I'm going to put my feet down on the road. And I'm going to work and I'm going to labor because I know that's what I ought to do. Whether that's popular or not. What we ought to do to serve the Lord. We ought to live for Him. We ought to be obedient to Him even when it's not popular. Brother Easton, is it not popular today? Oh. Anybody know what the Southern Baptist Convention just voted on? They just voted to pass an amendment. Granted, it didn't pass. It just got enough votes to be officially voted on next year. Still got to go through next year. To ban lady pastors. But the real heart issue on that is not dealing necessarily with lady pastors. It's dealing with the authority of God's Word. Right. That's what the heart of that issue is. Did you ever think you would get to the point to where the biggest collective of Baptist churches in the entirety of the world had to argue on whether or not we're going to believe the Bible? Did you ever think we were going to get to that point? You know what's bad? The fact that when I was talking to a man the other day about it, the fact that when you drive through Orlando, they had on billboards, that's where the vote and everything took place. They had on billboards and everything driving into the town about how that they weren't going to stand by it. That it was unbiblical and it was discriminatory to say that ladies could not pastor. And it was bad and they weren't going to stand for it and this, that, and the other. I'm like, are you serious? Of all the things there are to fight over, that's it. It caused a huge rift. By the way, the vote was 74.66%, if memory serves. That means a quarter of the people openly voted to not listen to what the Bible says. That should make us feel pretty bad. That should show us the state of the church today when we realize the argument and the battles that have been fought so many times past have accumulated to people getting hurt over what the Bible says. That's tough. It's not popular that they voted on that right now. It's all over everything. You think it was popular for Hezekiah to go through it? No, it wasn't popular for him. It's not popular for us today. You go out in the world right now and you stand on the Word of God, and it's not going to be popular. But it's worth it to stand on. It's worth it to fight for it. It's worth it to serve God. It's worth it to keep on going. It's worth it. If we don't stand, religion will be gone as we know it. What are they going to do with these boys when they take them and they carry them to Babylon? You remember what all they did to Daniel? Remember Daniel chapter number 1, him and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? By the way, you do realize that Daniel's his Hebrew name. Anybody know what his Babylonian name was? Belshazzar. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? That's not their Hebrew names. That's the names that was given to them when they got to Babylon. Don't ask me their Hebrew names. I'm sorry, I can't remember them. I'm sorry, I should have looked it up. What'd they do? They took them out of what was right. They took them out of God's place. They took them out of God's house. They took them out of how it was supposed to be, carried them into captivity in Babylon. They changed their names. They changed their diets. They changed the gods they're supposed to serve. They changed their culture. They changed everything they could change to kind of get them away from that. What are they doing today? They've come into the neighborhood to change everything that we have. No, Brother Easton, it's not happening. It's not happening right now. We done talked about it twice today. It was brought up in Brotherhood this morning. By the way, if you didn't make the Brotherhood this morning, you missed a good time. Brother John, you did a good job, brother. I sure do appreciate that. He talked on being distracted leads to being discouraged and leads to eventually being delivered. Thank goodness the Lord delivers us even when we do mess up. He's talking about David. He's talking about Simon Peter there. But he brought up down here at the Myrtle Quick Stop, you know what's sitting in a rack right next to the counter free for anybody to take? A stack full of Qurans. Right here in Myrtle. What's right across the road from the Quick Stop? Probably one of the biggest churches in the entire county. The famed Camp Zion, sitting right there, where so many souls have been saved and so many famous sermons. The Red Lights of Hell by Percy Ray was preached right there in that place. Folks from all over the United States. Every preacher that we have come in here, Brother Curtis Ponder from North Carolina came in and said, you know, my daddy used to come down here and go to that meeting. Went over there and toured it when he came down last November and stood in the same place his daddy stood when he preached. Had reach all over the nation. And now right across the road, it's here. There's an attack on the church as we know it. There's an attack on the world that we live. Religion, if we do not stand for it, if we do not put some feet down, if we don't get on the wall and get on the line, religion is going to be gone. It won't ever look like it used to look. It's often been said, what was done in the dark, one generation will accept that, one generation will tolerate that, and the next generation will welcome that. Some of the things that we see each and every day today, we never would have thought it would have got here. We never would have thought we'd had to deal with it. I was talking, I think it was Brother Tim and Jack when we were cleaning that floor down there, getting ready for VBS. And I can't believe I made the statement, but I'll stand by it. We were talking about how crazy the world is. I said, do y'all remember those days when you used to look at somebody and you didn't know for sure if they were batting for the other team or not? When you used to have that conversation and it was everybody trying to figure out if they're right or not. Did you ever think you'd get to the point where there was no question anymore? You look at them, it's so blatantly obvious now. The craziness of the world that we live in. If we're not careful, we're going to look up one of these days. And if we have the same attitude as Hezekiah and say, well, it's good for us right now, it won't be good for the next ones. It won't be good for the next ones if we don't put some fighting in now. You find that their religion is going to be gone as they know it. You find their raising is going to be gone. Their sense of what is right and what is wrong will be gone. Do you know kids are going to learn one way or the other? Kids are like a sponge. They soak up whatever atmosphere you put them in. You put them in a good, godly atmosphere, guess what they soak up? Good, godly things. You put them in an atmosphere that's full of the world and full of wickedness, what are they going to soak up? That. I was saying this morning in Brotherhood, as me and Sue were picking up those pizzas and stuff for commencement the other night, went by the Shell gas station and I wanted to go inside and get me a drink. There's a lady behind the counter. She probably was 19, 20 years old. You can tell the world had been rough on her. She wasn't doing good. Guy standing behind the counter with him, you tell he'd been on meth, missing all of his front teeth. Just a bad way, just rough. Had the world all over him. Walked in and said, "How y'all doing today?" And he kind of did like that. And she said, "I just ain't doing good." I said, "Why?" She said, "I just got put on death row." She wasn't talking about prison death row. She was saying that all there is to life is to just live it and then die. And then the guy said, "Well, you know, that's how it is. We're all on death row. We're all going to die." And I said, "Well, unless the Lord comes back." And he said, "Wouldn't that be awesome if the Lord came back?" And she made the statement that it wouldn't matter because he wouldn't take her anyways. She'd still be here. And I said, "It ain't got to be that way." I said, "You don't have to be that way." And she said, "Well, I don't believe that. I'm not religious." And I invited her to church, tried to talk to her, just nothing. She didn't want it. She wanted nothing to do with it. There's so many folks today. We have this mentality that there's nobody around anymore that doesn't know the Lord. Everybody goes to church. Everybody knows something about Him. There's still plenty. There's still plenty of folks out there. It's still worth the fight. Still worth it to get in it. If we're not careful, we'll look up one of these days and everything that we hold is right. Everything that we hold dear, everything that the church stands on, it's going to be gone. This one hit me too. Not only is that raising going to be gone, but you'll find respect's going to be gone as well. What do you think Hezekiah's grandkids thought of him when they realized that he had fought to make the kingdom good and then just said, "I don't care if it makes it to them or not"? How would that make you feel if that was your daddy or your granddaddy? "Man, my granddaddy was doing so good." And then there at the end of life, he said, "You know what? It'll be all right. I'll just let it all go and it won't matter what happens to them." I sure would hate one of these days for my kids to look up and say, "Daddy just dropped the ball. Daddy sure did let us down. Daddy sure didn't do what he was supposed to do." Man, what a heartbreaker it would be to know that our kids could look and say they were disappointed because we didn't fight for them anymore. That we didn't try anymore. That we didn't lead them the way they were supposed to be led. That we didn't pray over them like we were supposed to. Anybody remember growing up, going by your parents' room and hearing your parents in there praying for you? Anybody ever stumble on that? I remember one time I walked through the house and Mama had her door closed and I could hear her in there praying for me and Trey. You want to talk about putting a little skip in your step. To know that they loved you enough that they was praying for you. When I got saved on that Sunday morning, my mama had come by and I had made a profession years ago. She came by and said, "I've been praying that if my grandbabies didn't get the real thing, that they'd get it settled." There was a generation above me that cared enough for me to keep on fighting, to keep on going, to keep on working, and not just step back and say, "Well, they'll figure it out on their own. They'll figure it out on their own." I'm not in that. I'm not over that opinion. If Hezekiah, when he dropped this and he had this great failure here and said, "I'll let them figure it out as long as it's good for me," you'll find the responsibility is gone as well. Deuteronomy 6, verse 4. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, with all thy soul, with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up." So you're supposed to be talking about the things of the Lord when we're sitting, when we're walking, when we're lying, or when we're standing up. Kind of sounds like all the time, don't it? Kind of sounds like all the time. We ought to be talking about the Lord. Each and every one of us have the responsibility to pass it on to the next generation. I began to think about Elijah there, and Miss Angie, you can come on the piano. I'm done this morning. I began to think about Elijah this morning, last night, as I was studying on this. What did Elijah do to Elisha? Do y'all remember? He went by him and he took his mantle and he put his mantle on Elisha. Y'all remember that? What were the key things that had to happen for Elijah to be able to pass the mantle on to Elisha? There had to be a mantle. If he had nothing to pass, Elisha never would have gotten it. we can have the same attitude as Hezekiah and say, well, church is pretty good. Church is good enough for me right now. I get to go and I get to sing a little bit and I get to hear some mediocre preaching. I get to go and do the best that we can. It's okay. Church is all right. I get to go and go through the motions. I want better. Maybe I'm selfish, but I want it to be awesome. I want it to be wonderful. I like going to church. I like going to church and leaving church knowing I've been to church. I like going and feeling the Lord stirring hearts. I like it when people get that case of the can't help it. Now, I'm not talking about the Pentecostal can't help it where they jumping around like all that. So I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about when they get excited because they realize what all the Lord's done for them. They just can't help but sing it out to Him a little bit more. Or maybe like it was last Sunday when we began to sing Little as Much. When God is in it and the Lord took off and He met with us and He helped us. I like it when it's like that. And I want my kids to be able to experience it too. And I want their kids to be able to experience it. And I want your kids to be able to experience it. And I want whoever stands in the pulpit at Beulah Baptist Church after I'm dead and gone to be able to experience it too. I don't want to be like Hezekiah and just say, well, it's good enough for me right now. I want it to be good enough going on. I want to be able to leave a mantle for somebody to pick up and to keep going. You remember what Elisha said? Elijah took the mantle, he put it on him while Elisha was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen. He put the mantle on him. Elisha came and followed him, saw everything that God was doing through Elijah, and Elijah still had the mantle on. He'd gotten it back from Elisha. He still got it on. But you remember when he was talking to Elisha, and Elisha was like, I want a double portion. I want a double portion of what you got. And he says, all right, well, if you see me when the Lord takes me, you can have that double portion. I'm paraphrasing. I understand that. You remember when the Lord came and He got Elijah and He took him up in a chariot of fire and the mantle was left laying there and Elisha went over there and he said, this is what has helped Elijah so much. This represents all that he had to leave behind, all the faith that he had, all the goodness, all the experiences, all the wisdom, all the things that God had given and blessed him with. It's right here in this mantle. He picked that mantle up. And what did he say? He went over there to the Jordan River of memory serves, and he said, where is the God of Elijah? And he took the mantle and he smote the water, and the water split. I wonder if when we're all dead and gone, if anybody's going to be able to pray to God and say, where's the God of Beulah? Where's the God of Brother Easton Smith? Where's the God of Barry Cobb? Where's the God that they serve? Where's all the faith? Where's all the experiences? They left it here for us to experience as well. Or if we're all gone, they'll look around and say, man, they ain't even no mantle left. There ain't even nothing left to pick up. There's not even pieces to put back together. I don't want to leave that for the next generation. I don't want to fight the battles today where they ain't got to. I want to leave it in the best shape it's ever been. I want to leave a church that's on fire for God. I want to leave a people that can't do enough for God because they're so excited and they just want to serve Him. They just want to jump in and they want to see souls saved. I want to leave it better than it's ever been before. Because just good enough for right now is not good enough. We ought to have a desire for it to get better. A desire for it to grow towards God. A desire to do all we can to bring it about. I know God brings it. I know God is going to grow it. I know God does all that. But He's chosen us to do it through. He's chosen to put us here to be a part of it. He chose Elijah to carry the mantle and Elisha to pick it up. Right now we're somewhere between Elijah and Elisha. Trying to make sure that there's still a mantle here when we're all gone. Let's all stand this morning. Miss Angie, as you play.